The Mario Kart series is easily one of Nintendo's most popular franchises. Games like Mario Kart DS, Mario Kart Wii, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe have sold tens of millions of copies and were a huge part of so many people's childhoods. But there's one Mario Kart game that, despite not selling nearly as well as most other entries in the series, is easily the most creative, fun, and distinct Mario Kart game out there. One Mario Kart game that's so different from all the others that its main mechanic has never been brought back in any future entries. That Mario Kart game is none other than Mario Kart Double Dash. This game is incredible, and for my fourth video in my series covering all the Mario Kart games, I want to take a deep dive into one of, if not my favorite entry in the Mario Kart series, and truly see what makes it such an underrated Mario Kart game. My name is Mariomikester, and welcome to a Mario Kart Double Dash retrospective. Released on November 17th, 2003 here in North America, Mario Kart Double Dash is the fourth entry in the Mario Kart series, and the first entirely 3D Mario Kart game, as all the other entries up to this point were either 2D games that simulated a 3D environment, or in Mario Kart 64's case, had a 3D environment but featured 2D character and item sprites. During development, the team really struggled with making the game feel like a proper follow-up to Mario Kart 64. As at the time, Mario Kart 64 was not only highly regarded as the best Mario Kart game ever made, but one of the best racing games ever made. And in order to truly make this game a distinct follow-up, they started brainstorming ideas on new mechanics, items, and characters they could introduce that would appeal to both fans and newcomers to the series. Among the many new things that the team introduced during development though, there was one new mechanic that really stood out to everyone working on the game and would eventually become its main selling point. The Double Dash mechanic. The Double Dash mechanic would allow players to choose two characters to play as instead of one, with different combinations providing different stats. This mechanic was the perfect way to make Double Dash stand out from its predecessors and feel like a true next step for the Mario Kart series. And at E3 2003, the world would finally get a good look at the game, as its initial announcement teaser in 2001 literally just had Super Smash Bros. Melee models and go-karts. Getting into the actual game itself, you have this pretty standard Mario Kart title screen showcasing a bunch of the characters racing. One thing I've always found funny about this title screen though, is the inclusion of two trademarks on the logo. I guess they were really just leaning into the whole double thing with this game. Heading into the single player mode, you obviously have your typical Grand Prix and time trial modes we've seen in every other Mario Kart game up until this point. Where things get a bit more interesting here though, is in the character selection. Right from the very start, Double Dash features a whopping 16 playable characters to select from, double the amount of playable characters in every other Mario Kart game at the time, with 4 more characters you can unlock later. This sudden increase in characters was obviously due to the double mechanic, as they wanted to give the players a diverse selection to choose from, but it was just so cool to see so many new characters make their Mario Kart debut. You had new characters like Daisy, Birdo, Diddy Kong, Bowser Jr., Wario, and of course the man himself, Waluigi. And I mean, along with bringing a bunch of pre-existing characters into Mario Kart, Double Dash also introduced an entirely new character to the Mario series with this game, Toadette. Toadette was obviously created to be Toad's primary racing partner, but I absolutely love how she became a mainstay of the Mario franchise after this game, appearing in tons of spin-offs and even the opening sequence of Super Mario Galaxy. One really cool element of the character selection in this game is the ability to choose what kart you'll use. Up until Double Dash, every Mario Kart game had all the characters race in the same basic go-kart. But with this game, not only did every single character have their own unique kart, you also got to specifically choose which kart you wanted to use, with different karts offering different stats. For example, if you were racing as Mario and Yoshi, you weren't just limited to using Mario's signature kart or Yoshi's signature kart. Rather, you got to choose any character's signature kart to race in, as long as they were in the same weight class as the character combo you had. Having this level of customization in a Mario Kart game was such a nice upgrade from what we had in previous Mario Karts. The sheer amount of character pair and kart combinations you could do here added so much strategy to the game, and really encourages players to experiment and see what works for them. But the strategy of choosing what characters to pair together doesn't just determine what stats you'll have, it also determines what special items you'll get. You see, each primary character pair in the game has their own signature special item. Mario and Luigi have the fireball, Yoshi and Birdo have the Yoshi egg, Toad and Toadette have the golden mushroom, etc. But what makes the special items even cooler is that if you combine certain characters together, you'll get both of their special items. For example, if you pair Donkey Kong and Yoshi together, you'll have the chance of getting Donkey Kong's special item, the giant banana, as well as Yoshi's special item, the Yoshi egg. I absolutely love this. Not only does it encourage players to pair together characters they would have never thought of, it also adds even more strategy to the game. Double Dash's special items are an incredibly cool new addition, and while it's not very surprising the whole two drivers gimmick never returned, I still cannot believe they never brought this mechanic back. It is so fun to shoot these colorful fireballs as Mario or Luigi, litter the track with giant bananas as Donkey or Diddy Kong, and just zoom across the track with a chain chomp as baby Mario or Luigi. The special items just make races so much more chaotic and eventful. With all this mention of strategy and the sheer amount of customization potential you have in this game, it may sound like Double Dash is an extremely daunting game to pick up at first, especially if you're a more casual player. But actually, it's not at all. Personally speaking, Double Dash was the first Mario Kart I ever played. And although I didn't own it myself, so I didn't extensively get to experience it, I remember absolutely loving it. At the time, I didn't see the character and kart combinations as a way of optimizing my stats and guaranteeing I had the best item combination or most optimal weight class. Rather, I saw it as a way to make my two favorite Mario characters team up and race in a cool looking kart. Double Dash does a great job at hiding all the little details away and doesn't bombard you with stats when you're choosing your characters or kart. It understands that Mario Kart is widely loved as a casual experience, and those who do enjoy playing Mario Kart a little more strategically or competitively are likely Mario Kart veterans who already know how to figure all that stuff out by reading the manual. Really, the only aspect of Double Dash that I wouldn't say is entirely casual friendly at first is the controls. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Double Dash's controls, but that's after playing this game for hours and really understanding them. Getting used to them when you first start playing is actually a little difficult, especially if you're playing as a heavyweight character. One aspect of Double Dash's controls that I think remedies this initial issue though, is the drifting. I firmly believe that this is the first Mario Kart game in the series to fully nail drifting. Super Mario Kart's drifting just served as a means of turning sharper. Mario Kart 64 has introduced the idea of getting a boost from doing it, but didn't have any sort of visual indicator to show the player's increase in speed. And Super Circuit, while adding the visual indicator 64's was missing, just doesn't feel as good. Double Dash's drifting, on the other hand, both looks and feels incredible. It's got a ton of visual flair with the orange and blue sparks, and quickly flicking the control stick left and right to build up a mini turbo feels great, and is so much more engaging and involved than just holding a turn like you do in most other Mario Karts. And this much more engaging and involved feeling isn't just limited to the drifting. I'd honestly argue that even though they are hard to adjust to at first, Double Dash without a doubt has the most engaging controls in the entire series. In modern Mario Karts, especially Mario Kart 8, a lot of the time I feel like I go into an autopilot mode and don't really have to focus to win, with 200cc being the only way to really make the game feel engaging. With Double Dash though, the engaging controls and sheer chaos that the items cause always have me fully focused into the race, especially on tracks with sharp turns. Speaking of the tracks though, I wouldn't at all be doing Double Dash justice if I didn't talk about its stellar track selection. While it may have one of the lowest track counts of any Mario Kart game, most of the tracks featured here are easily some of the best in the series. Heavy emphasis on most. You have your circuit courses, Luigi, Mario, and Yoshi circuit, and while circuit courses in Mario Kart games are usually incredibly basic, Double Dashes surprisingly aren't. Luigi Circuit has this cool gimmick where its main stretch of track serves as a two-way road, where you can actually pass racers going the opposite direction of you. And there's this really awesome Luigi's Mansion reference with Luigi's A-Rank mansion from that game appearing in the background. Mario Circuit is full of twists and turns and makes it so fun to drift on. And Yoshi Circuit, while featuring a ton of cool set pieces that bring the track to life, is most memorable because it's literally shaped like a Yoshi. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that. Hey, did you also know that Super Mario Bros. 2 is actually Doki Doki? Outside of the circuit tracks, you also have these incredibly cool unique tracks like Daisy Cruiser, which literally takes place on a cruise ship, Mushroom City, which sees you racing around a huge city at night with alternate paths you can take, and Wario Coliseum, a track so long it only has 2 laps. Double Dash's tracks are incredible. They're so colorful, lively, creative, and just full of the charm that a lot of Nintendo games had back in the GameCube era. Obviously not every track here is a hitter, and I'd be lying if I said this game had the best track selection of a Mario Kart game, but I really like how original most of them are. And I mean, I can't talk about Double Dash's track selection without mentioning Rainbow Road. Double Dash's Rainbow Road may honestly be my favorite in the series. That or Mario Kart 7's. Its sharp turns, and especially the spiral filled with dash panels, make this track so easy to fall off of if you're not paying attention. I can definitely see why some of the difficult turns may make this some people's least favorite Rainbow Road, but to me, that's what Rainbow Roads are all about. The setting of this track is also really cool. It takes place at night and seems to take place over Mushroom City, which is a really cool detail. While you're racing on the track though, you might notice stars that fall from the sky onto the road. What's cool about these stars is that you can actually pick up and use them, which is something I've always loved about this track, even if it is a little unfair for someone in first place to get. Overall, Double Dash's Rainbow Road serves as a great end to the track list in this game, and is a blast to race on. And I mean, that's just the single player mode. The multiplayer is where Double Dash, and let's be honest, pretty much every Mario Kart game shine the brightest. Being able to race with your friends in these games will never not be fun. And out of every Mario Kart, Double Dash easily has the most unique multiplayer mode. For starters, you have the option between racing against your friends or with your friends due to the Double Dash mechanic allowing 2 characters in one kart. Outside of that, you have your basic multiplayer modes you come to expect from Mario Kart games. Grand Prix, Versus, and Battle Mode. The mode I chose to start off with was Grand Prix mode. And, I mean, it was fun. This and the Versus mode aren't really too special. Don't get me wrong, I am so glad they're here, and I really enjoyed my time with them. But these don't really differ all that much from the Grand Prix and Versus multiplayer modes before it. And I mean, they don't have to either. They're here and they're good. That's all I can really say about them without repeating what I said about the other games. Where this multiplayer mode actually starts to get interesting though, is in the battle mode. Up until Double Dash, Mario Kart battle modes were solely balloon battles, where you just collected item boxes and try to catch your opponents off guard and hit them with an item to make them lose one of their 3 balloons. Here, the balloon battle mode returns, but new to the Mario Kart series are 2 brand new modes, Shine Thief and Bomb Blast. Shine Thief involves collecting a shine on the map and trying to hold onto it until the timer runs out, with players not holding the shine trying to steal it from the person holding it by hitting them with items. Bomb Blast is all about collecting as many bombs as you can, with them being the only item you can get, and throwing them at your opponents to blow them up. The first person to 3 stars here wins the game. These 2 modes are alright. Shine Thief can be pretty boring with only 2 people, as a lot of the time you're just circling each other, but with 3 or 4 people, it's a pretty good time. Regardless though, it's great to have at least some diversity in the battle mode. And I mean, along with these 2 new modes, you also have some brand new tracks to battle on, like this one based off the mansion from Luigi's Mansion, one that takes place on a giant GameCube, and my personal favorite, Pipe Plaza, where you can shoot through different pipes. Overall, while the battle mode here is great, it's definitely not what I enjoyed most about the multiplayer in this game. The multiplayer mode I actually enjoyed the most here was very surprisingly the co-op mode. In this mode, you and a friend get to team up and share the same kart, with one person driving while the other handles the items. I absolutely love this mode. It's all about working together with your partner and trying to coordinate through the chaotic beauty that is Double Dash. I love how if you want to switch who's driving, you both have to verbally agree to and press the Z button at the exact same time. And if you also want to correctly drift, you both have to waggle the control stick left and right at the same time as well. There is so much cooperation present here, and it could lead to either some of the funniest moments ever, or some of the coolest if you can work together really well. One of the most hilarious things you can do in this co-op mode if you're in the back seat is punch other racers. Performing this punch though causes the kart to shift in the direction you're attacking, and can seriously send the driver off course. But I mean, that just makes it more fun. This co-op mode perfectly takes advantage of the Double Dash mechanic. I've heard people say they find this mode boring, but it's easily some of the most fun I've had with this game, and without a doubt, my favorite multiplayer mode available here. I'd love to see it return in the future. Mario Kart Double Dash is one of the best GameCube games, and honestly a true contender for best Mario Kart game. It is such a creative and chaotic mess, and I mean that in the best way possible. You have so much freedom here in regards to what character pair to pick, what kart to pick, and what special items you want. The double dash mechanic is still one of the coolest one-off gimmicks in any Nintendo game. The track selection here is so diverse and original, with only 2 of the 16 tracks being lame. The controls, while hard to adjust to at first, are incredibly engaging and will always have your full attention. The multiplayer has so much to offer. You have classic Grand Prix and Versus modes, 3 battle modes, and a co-op experience no Mario Kart has ever been able to top. It's so unfortunate that this game was released on one of Nintendo's worst performing systems sales-wise. This is a game any Mario Kart fan needs to play at least once. It's just so unique and underrated. Later entries in the series like Mario Kart DS and Mario Kart Wii do introduce a lot more to the franchise, but due to just how different this game is from all the others, it will never become obsolete. Overall, Mario Kart Double Dash may not be a perfect game, but it's damn near close to it. And in my eyes, is an absolute masterpiece.